What's up, nerds? Kevin, Downroad Games. You get this version this time. Not gonna have Zach actually record. I am just gonna do a quick run around the store, show you what's going on a Monday. I'm exhausted. Exhausted. So I guess I'm going through my mid-store crisis. What should we call this? As I've just let's just real talk here. I've just been crunching a lot of numbers, doing the adult thing of really revitalizing the business, seeing where I'm at with things, and just the soul crushing realization of how much value has been lost in the past couple of months. Like years and years of growth, years and years. So let me just tell you my business strategy, and maybe some of you might disagree with it. I know maybe some other store owners or people that are doing this business might be really shaking their head with the route that I took with this. But I never. How we got into this whole business was kind of a fluke to begin with. So a little bit of history of that I've told this many times before. So I used to play competitive Magic or semi-competitive Magic, whatever you want to call it. But I used to make money playing Magic the Gathering with my kind of off the beaten path rogue style of doing decks for Cool Stuff Inc., as well as my own channel with Rogue Deck Builder. Actually made it up to about 35,000 subscribers at the peak of Rogue Deck Builder, and it was okay. It was decent money. It wasn't anything it definitely wasn't something that I knew was going to be sustainable long term. And I was helping out with I moved back to my hometown to help my mom out with actually coaching swim team, and had an opportunity that they were actually going to be moving. And so they had a house they didn't want to sell. And so we rented out the basement. So they needed someone to manage the house, and then transition over that while they're moving, because they eventually wanted to retire in it. So I had this opportunity to get super cheap housing in my hometown, where I'm like, well, I'm paying crazy amounts of money in Salt Lake for an apartment. So I'm okay. Moved down here, and then as I was down here, I started trying to get myself involved in the communities here because I wanted a place to play Magic the Gathering. And I met some guys. They were starting a game store. I actually met them right when they started a game store, and I helped them start their game store. So actually sold a lot of my collection to help it get going. And then they started a game store called JRAC Games. And it didn't last very long because neither of those guys, I don't really want to talk ill on either one of them. One I'm still pretty good friends with. I mean, he moved away. I think we'd still be good friends. The other guy I don't talk to, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, they didn't really manage that store well. It didn't last long. That's about, I think it lasted about 2 years. And then it went out of business, as most, local stores do. Most independently, run stores are hard to actually make it work this day, especially when people try to turn their passion into a job. So I don't know where I was going with this story, but let's continue this with Kevin's story time here for the Gone Roger. So anyway, that's where I actually met Zach. Is he was a player at that store, and we hit it off pretty quick. He was one of my favorite people to play with, and he was also has a lot of experience with the game. And as you can see, he's a super creative guy, and I'm glad we actually paired up with him because we were able to create this when that store went under. Zach and I were like, hey, I don't care, it makes money. I just want a place to play. Let's scrounge everything together. We'll both have our jobs that we have. And I was actually working at Sears at the time still. So that's what I did. So I did the Gone Roger, and as a salesperson at Sears, or not Gone Roger, sorry. I did this stuff for Cool Stuff Inc. and Rogue Deck Builder. And I also worked as a salesperson at Sears, and also did this, coach swim team, and did some private lessons and things like that. But none of that was any decent money. So so Zach and I scrounged together, and we actually were able to make this store here in Richfield, Utah, called Gone Rogue Games. So we wanted to keep kind of the brand of my brand with Rogue Deck Builder, because it was still doing really well at the time. Like I said, I was still at my peak of the view counts, and it was still working for Cool Stuff, and still, things were still up and up with the kind of content creation with Magic the Gathering. Maybe I'll sell you a mug and we can kind of talk around. I'll show you around the store. So then we started the store, and neither one of us were like, I didn't really care that it made money because I just wanted a place to play. We had a good group of guys we played with. And so Zach actually knew the owner of this building, and we actually traded work for rent for a while. So we were actually renovating the building, and Zach actually helped still manage their downstairs tenants. So if they needed anything, then Zach would do it, and would, a pipe leaked or something like that. So the landlord actually loved that, because then he didn't have to be like on call in case, the tenants downstairs actually, needed something. He'd rely on Zach to fix what needed to be done or whatever. So that's how we at first got, was just trading kind of sweat work for rent with the landlord. And then he gave us a super good deal at first while we got going. And we actually were only renting a few rooms. And then it's turned into this massive, well, the whole, I guess it's still not massive, it's still small for a game store and whatnot. But neither of us really knew what we were doing. We were kind of just winging it as we went on. And then in about 2018, I want to say, is when I started really, really not enjoying doing the content creation for Magic the Gathering as much as I used to. And then it was also the time that I lost my job with Cool Stuff Inc. doing the playing on the budget and the Rogues Alley that I was doing. So either once a week or twice a week, I was getting paid by them to do videos for them. And then like I said, that whole time period was just a frustrating time period. The store started to pick up here. We were doing a little bit better here, and I decided to kind of switch gears. I actually had a fan that told me they would say, "Hey, just start a Patreon and see where it goes, and we'll still support you." And I had my very first patron that said, "Hell, I'll pay $250 for you." So that will at least put food in your mouth for the week or the month. Or even back in 2018, it seems like $250 a month could actually feed someone. Haha, now that's another stressful thing right now as we see value collapse, plus everything else, the food prices just go kind of through the roof. But anyway, where was I going with this? So I'm like, okay, I didn't know where it was going to go. I'm like, sure. For him, I'll start this Patreon. And the Patreon service was okay for a while. First, I was like, oh, $5 here if you enjoyed my videos. Let's just make it so I don't have to take sponsorships. I'll keep creating decks. That's when I really started to get into the Market Mondays and the Rogue Market channel, which I need to revive. So I had a lot of fun doing that, like speculating into cards and trying to call the next big increase in a card was super, super fun at the time. And then the Patreon was going okay. I think we got it up to a decent amount. And then I got this bright idea. What if I started a service where, well, this time period too was very similar to the time period now. Now I'm thinking back to it, there was this time period of Amonkhet and Hour Devastation and Ixalan where boxes were not selling. So you couldn't actually sell them locally. If I bought them from distributors, then they, wouldn't make a profit if I went on like eBay or TC Player, and just got absolutely frustrating. I was so frustrated with this new online market that people were willing to work for nothing, and it made it impossible to compete. So I threw my hands up in the air and like, you know what? I'll just do a subscription service. Money up front, people pay me. I'll order on their behalf because we don't use nearly our allocations. That was one of the other problems with the store too, is the distributors were expecting us to take a lot more than what we could actually sell here locally. And for us to grow and get the stuff we actually needed, like pre-release kits, because we had pretty good turnouts for pre-releases, we'd have to sell other stuff. And so I wanted to get those numbers up. And so it was just a win-win situation where I was able to devise this idea of doing the subscription service where you sign up at different tiers and you can get, different amounts of products from me per month. And it's a great service because it's a nice you scratch my back, I scratch your back type service. It was money up front, so there was no risk. That was another thing that I was constantly battling when we started this store, was kind of the liquidity of capital and purchasing stuff from distributors, but then not knowing it's going to take too much time before there's credit card are due, or when you have to order other stuff. There would be so many times we'd do just amazing on one pre-release, and it like one set would just sell through the roof, and then we'd get a stinker set, and it would be so hard to move, and that capital would hit the time clock of paying off those credit cards and the being able to have the capital to buy the next stuff. I remember it was like Eternal Masters or something. We had to miss out on a lot of stuff we could have known we could have sold because I just couldn't squeeze the amount of money to buy that sort of stuff. I just didn't have the resources to get on that, and I lost out on a lot of opportunity there for that stuff. As you can see, my mess back here. I don't know. What do you guys prefer, or do you prefer seeing the shop? So anyway, that's where this patron service came into birth. Is like, okay, this is great. I can, pad my numbers. I can actually offer service. I can save people money. So people that are my fans, they can actually save money, and it'll help us with our our numbers and whatnot. And it worked out great. And it was so successful that we got a big Discord community going, and I was actually able to do these auctions on super, like, a lot of times there'd be limited stuff, and it wasn't fair just to distribute it out to different patrons. I decided to do just an auction house so people could bid on it, and that was super successful at the time too. And I started to just really grow leaps and bounds. But instead of pocketing any sort of money, I decided, okay, well, Magic's got 25 plus years of stuff that accrues value over time. And I was sick of it too. Like, a lot of times I was looking at Omnicat boxes at the time. Like, okay, we sold through it all. I didn't keep anything on the shelves, and because I was always worried about money. I've always, I haven't been wealthy. I've always worried about, having liquidity to be able to buy stuff. So that was kind of my the way that I did the business is like, they just got everything out the books. So everything out the books, everything paid for, everything ready for the next thing. But I'd always see these things like, Omnicat or War of the Spark, or a lot of these sets would go up, and they'd go up quite a bit. I'm like, man, I wish I would have just held on to those. I think the biggest one was Unbroken Bonds from Pokemon. I was holding on. I finally just got rid of them because I'm like, okay, I just need money for this other stuff. And then I just kicked myself because I'm like, if I just would have waited, those would have gone up. And so then I transitioned over to actually, keeping set aside a lot of stuff. So you can kind of see my back of this room. A lot of stuff I started keeping aside, being like, okay, this is going to actually beat out newer product. So this will accrue value better than trying to actually buy newer product. And that's where my margins were going to start coming. My big pass-through income is, I'll have this box of Omnicat or Ixalan 3 years down the road when it's gone up 30, 40, 50%. And that's where my good profit margin is going to be. I'm not going to try to sell Ixalan now. I'm going to wait until it accrues value. And so that was kind of the strategy. And like I said, it was working very well. And then about 2022, the end of 22 into 23, that whole strategy just shut off. And that's when I realized I was in so deep with a lot of this product. And again, it's not here that I'm out here saying, oh man, I'm in so much debt, so much financial burden here. No, that's not the case. The case is this was gonna be my big payoff, is when these things started to sell for these higher prices. Like even like pre-release kits here, these things tended to age very well. So like a Core 2021 by this point in time, 2 years down the road, they should be going worth about, you should be selling these for like double of what I could get, what I bought them for at that point. And I was selling them like that sort of era, take that back 2 years. Man, it was so easy to do these like 2-player kits and sell pre-release kits again for just really good value at that point and make good profit. But anyway, somewhere along the line, this in 2022, I've talked about this in other videos, with all the fraud going on with the loans the government gave out, all the other stuff that just seemed to funnel its way into the collectibles market, that we have seen just the absolute collapse of Magic the Gathering products. And not only am I stuck with so much inventory that just doesn't sell, or at least doesn't sell at a decent profit. It's just not the price that I'm willing to get rid of it, but a lot of it's actually lost a ton of value in the last 3 to 4 months. Again, not a woe is me thing. I'm just talking about the realities of what is going on and why I'm so stressed out and why I'm trying to figure out other ways now to try to generate some extra revenue before I have to start cannibalizing all this stuff for a lot less than I want to actually let it go for. It's just so stressful to see the prices of a lot of the sealed product just absolutely tank to the point that I've just in my own inventory, just in this small operation that we have here, between the collapse of card singles, which we actually do keep quite a bit. And again, that's why at the start of this video I'm like, okay, well, we've been doing this business as a sunset business. As in the future, that's when the big sales are going to happen. That we're going to just keep reinvesting, letting the product actually outpace inflation, outpace interest, or not interest, or inflation. That's the word I'm looking for. And eventually, like the older product, what I used to like to say about Magic the Gathering is that it used to age like fine wine, and now it's starting to spoil like sour grapes. Because these products that used to go up year to year, or at least keep up with inflation or go above, no longer do so. In fact, with Magic pushing out things like Lord of the Rings or Modern Horizons or all these Ultimate uh, Masters or Masters type sets, is these products actually look like trash compared to when they reprint. Oh, I can't even get these boxes, these draft booster boxes. They look like trash, and that wasn't the case. I mean, just look at the way that, like, Scars Mirrodin went up in value, and that's not even that old, comparatively speaking to now when I started this store, compared to some of these products that are still, less than what I paid for them at a distributor rate. So I hope I'm not making any mistakes by trying to talk into this camera. I'll have to figure out a better way of doing this in the future. But anyway, sorry for my convoluted thought process here. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. So I've been kind of like at the very first of this business, I did a lot of grindy stuff. Like here, I'll show you. So known for. So I used to do this. I used to buy a lot of this stuff or to sell a lot of this. This is from breaking down arena starter kits. So you can break down these old arena starter kits for vetoes, and the vetoes will sell for more than I paid, even after fees, for more than I paid from the arena starter kits. And that's the same thing that can happen now with these other arena starter kits. So there's this Archmage Emeritus, and this guy will sell. This will buy us for like $3.25. It sells for about $5 on TCG Player, and that's more than I paid for the arena starter kits. I think I don't know exactly the cost of them, but then you get a ton of rares and a ton of bulk. It actually does buy list and sell. And these particular arena starter kits are pretty good because they have Lennar Visionaries, classifications, like a lot of this stuff actually buy list. And this is the kind of stuff I used to do. I used to do this little arbitrage and would make a few bucks here and there. And with just grinding and grinding. And that's what I've realized. I think when I got so spoiled with the operation of like Patreon, of just being able to, it was super simple just to like move product. Like, okay, you pay me this, I'll buy it, I'll sell it to you. Okay. And then I could just my big profit margin would be the Patreon subscription fee. So everything else I broke even on or made a few bucks here and there. The auctions, of course, for limited stuff too, also made money. And it was just a very simple operation. And somewhere along the lines, I kind of got lazy and complacent and forgot really how to grind. And that's what I'm trying to I'm just dreading it going back to this, because this is just so much labor to do this sort of stuff that it's kind of joking. You're paying yourself minimum wage. I mean, it all adds up eventually. Like, that's the whole thing, is you don't see it right off the bat. And this sort of grind does make money of, breaking things apart for arbitrage. And I used to have some pretty good paydays with this sort of stuff. But it is just, that's kind of why, back of researching, I'm relearning how to do a good TCG Player operation, and how to ship and how to move bulk and restart that. It's been forever since I've even sold on eBay or places like that, to try to recoup a lot of this dead product that I need to just be okay with. It is like, okay, if it's not moving, it's just stagnant product. And again, a lot of people that might actually own a business might be laughing at me and be like, yeah, you shouldn't be in business, Kevin, if this is your thing. I agree with them. I think my strength is actually this behind the camera. This is what I like to do. This is what I have fun to do. I need to get back to actually, I've been kind of lazy and complacent on that too, where I just kind of put out videos, just point and shoot, and don't even edit it. And I used to have fun with it. If you used to have fun seeing what I could edit, seeing what I could do with analytics. As Zach sneaks back here. What are you doing in my videos, Zach?
Sorry, I gotta get sodas for people.
He's got to give people diabetes during my TED Talks. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of a good wake-up call for myself, because I've just realized what complacency you can really do, like when you just get into rhythm of stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I know how this works, I've mastered this, and you rely on it. And like I said, I put all my eggs in one basket with being able just to rely on like this constant stream of orders. And it was just such an easy, expected day. Like the releases, also one of the things like stressing me right now is we used to have like a release schedule with Pokemon and Magic that was so nice. It's like, okay, now I can breathe. I got these out. I can breathe. I can reevaluate stuff, and then on to the next big one, on the next big one. And now it's the biggest issue is, again, having so much. I'm back to it feels like the square one, with back to just so much inventory and so much capital tied up on stuff that didn't move, and I don't want to take a loss on it, because it's like, I know it will start selling for higher. But at the same time, now 151's due. Now Brilliant Lights is due. Now, Throne or Wilds of Eldraine is due. And it's just this constant, like this collectibles market has demanded more and more of these set releases. And that's also one of the crazy things right now about this industry, is the shelf life of everything is so awful. like I said, the shelf life of people actually that used to want this type of product used to be really good. For a standard set that came out, you had a good like 3, 4 months of people actually wanting to buy that product. And it would be good all through its kind of like draft life or its standard life, that people would still be, if this was, a couple of years back, and let's say what's still in Crimson Vow is still in standard, there'd still be demand for a standard product. You wouldn't see distributors blowing it out for $60 a box with an in standard thing. And so it's just a crazy time right now for my industry. It's like I have to relearn everything. All the old rules don't apply. And again, a lot of people are like, woe is me, poor Kevin, crying out his eyes because he hasn't stayed on top of stuff, which is my thing. I don't know. It's one of my realizations that I kind of just got in over my head with stuff, because I agree. I don't think have the best personality for this like super organized, like really grindy inventory. Let's hurry and just move everything. Okay, this product's I'm moving, crush it all out on eBay and recoup our capital and go back into something else. To me, that seems just such like a rat race that isn't even worth it. And so again, that's what I'm really in this mode. This I don't know. This video is going to come out kind of weird for people that might be new to this channel or whatnot, as they might not even understand what I'm talking about. And again, I know it's just kind of crazy trying to keep up with my line of thought, but I know that this isn't where my strength is, and I think I need to get back behind the camera and back behind the more creative process of what attracted people in the first place. I've kind of noticed it too with the people that have been in my Patreon in the past. What I used to get is a lot of more people that played the game, and more people that enjoyed the game, and so they're actually willing a lot of times to pay a higher price than a lot of people I think have been attracted to kind of my business model in the recent past, since I haven't been behind the camera, since I haven't been interacting with what I call fans. I've been getting a lot of the people that are looking for cheap deals. And again, there's nothing wrong with you. I love a lot of you. A lot of you have become some of my best patrons, and some of my good friends too that have just joined the service because it can save you money, and it is a good operation. But anyway, yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, but I guess the fact that it's just so much more difficult. This job has never been so absolutely gloom of the stress of, just like I said, the rat race of trying to predict what am I going to get out of this. Can I do this? Can I it's always this catch-22. Okay, well, if I don't get this Commander Masters and it does sell, now I've just lost out on that ability to make that money. And when's that next opportunity going to come? And then it's kind of crazy. I think I was a little bit too conservative on Lord of the Rings and not conservative enough on Commander Masters. But it is what it is. But hopefully going forward, there'll be some other outlets that can actually make money. I mean, Lorcana's been selling through the roof. I unfortunately wasn't able to get much of it. I mean, I haven't even got my shipment yet with a shipping error or a kind of a miscommunication with the distributor. I think I should finally be getting my first wave of Lorcana tomorrow. Hopefully the film or the shelf life of that's a little bit better. The price had already crashed to nothing. But anyway, that's where I'm at. And so if you kind of see these stressed out eyes and this stressed out conversation, I'm gonna get back to my chipper self of where I can actually breathe and figure out exactly where to take this business. Whether it's back to being the grind of flipping Archmage Emerituses to different vendors, or there's a lot of that kind of stuff too. We have so much product that I've been looking into like what's called the long tail theory, where if you're everyone right now is competing to sell the ultra popular stuff. Maybe you should, when everyone zigs, you should be zagging. So going after, the not so popular stuff, but being one of the few sellers that's actually selling it. But all in all, I don't know. That's where I'm at with right now, is whether I even want to really go down this strategy more, to whether I even want to put all my eggs in one basket, or even any eggs in basket of like this stuff ever being worth it to really hold on to, or save for the kind of what I like to call the sunset business, is where I have all this old product, and then when I do need the money or ready to get out of it, that's when you sell, is when it's worth a lot more down the road, when it's actually outpaced inflation, outpaced savings and things like that. But anyway, that's where I'm at. That's where I've trying to come to terms with of where I want to go with this direction. Again, I still love creating. I want to get back to whatever that entails, whatever the creative process entails, whether it's just talking to you all about the day-to-day operations and filming dogs, or doing some more highly edited videos and talking about Magic the Gathering or Lorcan or a Pokemon or whatnot. I guess we'll just have to see where it takes us. But I appreciate everyone else for sticking around. I've always been blown away by the support of everyone that I meet on the various channels. I feel like I've let a lot of you down with being so inconsistent and really not sticking to any one sort of project. I think that kind of is the curse of a creative mind. Is as soon as I seem to conquer anything, I get bored of it and want to move on to something else. And then I'm left picking up the pieces of whatever my new adventure has decided to take precedent over my old stuff. And then I find myself like, oh crap, I should have been paying more attention to this or done anything more of that. But if you're thinking about like this is my own little analysis where I've actually been inventorying a lot lately, and especially our card singles. Is I don't know if I mentioned this early in the video, but I'm assuming we've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past 3 to 4 months on the crash of the depreciation of single card value, and as well as just the sealed value. And I'll talk more about on my I think my Market Monday video, if I get it out today, on just how doom and gloom it really is with Magic the Gathering. But it's also like the weirdest mixed signal, because Magic the Gathering is also super hot right now. If you actually look at sales data, if you actually see the amount of turnaround with Magic the Gathering, it's not a warning sign. It's not like this game's not dying whatsoever. We just had the two of the best selling sets of all time, and you can actually see a lot of single prices that did miss the reprint hell are very healthy, are going up in price. A lot of Commander stables that have missed a reprint, in even since I've been noticing cards even from like Double Masters have started to go up in value. So it's not a problem as far as like if you were to look at historical data for 25 years of 28 years is what I like to say. Like Magic is actually in one of its hottest markets, and if we still played by the same rules of those 28 years, then I think it'd be a lot easier to predict. A lot of these other cards would still be going up, and it'd be kind of the natural cycles we'd see in the past. But with this just absolutely nonsensical just dumping of product and just printing everything just like every product they seem to go crazy on. It's just led to this super oversaturated market with the company Magic Gathering just overproducing, and B, the amount of, like I said, the amount of cooks. There are too many people in this industry that are selling, and not in percentage wise there's more sellers than there is buyers at this point. I mean, percentage wise than there used to be. But anyway, there is my huge long rant. This is, I think, the longest Gone Roger I've ever done. I don't know how many people are still with me. As you can see, my collection won't quit plummeting. Look at all those plummets. See you guys next time.